Today, I'll be trying every technique I've found for the track and field 100-meter dash. I'll be starting with the most obvious and working our way up to the most difficult, including one technique that, if mastered, can guarantee you a perfect score. Along the way, I'll be rating each technique based on effort, difficulty, and overall potential. And because I'm itching to get started, and I'm not quite sure if this first technique is the worst, so let's find out. Okay, the first technique is one that pretty much everybody knows. It is called the slap technique, right? It is where you're going to bang away on the two run buttons. And so we will go ahead and we'll demonstrate that and see what kind of time we can get with the slap technique. All right, so the way you do it is you want to alternate your hands slapping the run buttons in rhythm. And you can see, we're about 800, 850, getting up to, 860 centimeters per second. And that qualified us at 11 minutes and 64 seconds. All right, there you go. That was the slap technique. And it is clearly the most obvious way one is going to play this game. It's the way you will see 99% of players do it. And it is one that, when we talk about effort, is probably the most exhausting. You are not going to be able to maintain that level of effort over a series of plays. If you're just trying to improve your score and playing over and over, you are going to exhaust yourself with the slap technique. And because of that, even though it's easy, it is going to limit your potential. You can only get so good at the slap technique. You might be able to edge out another player just slightly, but I think you're going to find as we move through this list, there are techniques that are far superior. So let's check out the next one. Okay, so the next technique is called the cat scratch. What you're going to do is you're going to hold your two hands kind of like this, up in the air, curled, forming, this catch, and you're going to hit basically like this, where you're kind of moving each finger, alternating in order to get the speed there. So again, cat scratch, keep your palms arched, and here we go. And so we got a little faster, 888, 11 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay, that was the cat scratch technique. And as you can see, already it's an improvement over the slap. Not only is it much less effort with using a couple fingers on each hand, it is going to allow you to get faster potential. The button presses happen quicker because you have a lower throw from your fingers versus the slap technique. And if you can get a good rhythm, you're easily going to pass the 1,000 centimeters per second and be able to maintain that through the entire race. So for this purpose, I think this one is definitely rated higher than the slap, and is one of the more effective methods you can do playing the game the way it was meant to be played, with your fingers and the buttons. But let's talk about what you can do when you implement another object to gain an advantage. Okay, our next technique is really considered by most to be an exploit, and that, of course, is the number 2 pencil. Now, one of the things you need to keep in mind is the pencil needs to be somewhat short. So in this case, we're looking at about 2/3 of a normal pencil length. You can see I've broken the end off there. And that's because you need it to be small enough to hit the buttons, are big enough to hit the buttons, but not so big that it hits the sides of the cabinet or extends too far where you can't press the buttons down. So there's a few different ways to hold this in order to get the leverage you want. But the goal is to be pressing down so that the tip or this edge of the pencil is against the left run button. Then what you're going to do is slap the right side onto that other button, and this leverage of this finger or these two fingers pressing down will hit the other one for you. So as I demonstrate, right, we go like this. You can see I'm hitting both buttons pretty fast. So let's see just how impactful this technique is. And we'll go ahead and ring in here and we'll get all in position. And I'm going to start by holding the left one down already and then wait for that go mark. And you can see we're already over 1,000 and 10 minutes, 39 seconds. So dropped our time roughly an entire second. So 10 seconds, 39 tenths of a second. So pretty quick on the pencil. Pencil helps quite a bit. Okay, that was the pencil technique. This is probably one of the most famous, the one people talk about the most. And you can see it's not without its challenges. Of course, having a number 2 pencil these days is a challenge in and of itself, but the size of that pencil matters. How long is it? How thin is it? That is going to matter a lot. Now, on the potential side, it's huge. You get the right pencil, you get the right length, and you use the proper holding technique, you are going to ramp your speed up quickly and be able to hit well over 1,000 right out of the gate and maintain that, achieving some of the lowest scores. This one, I think, is highly likely to score you a world record if you keep pushing. And so right now, this is the most effective. But as I said, it's considered an exploit. You're using a third-party object. So probably one you would want to stay away on for anything other than casual play. So let's take a look at another object, another famous technique. All right, for our next technique, we are going to use the comb technique. So very much like the pencil, we are going to use a lever point and a comb to press both buttons in rhythm and alternate back and forth. Because this comb is so large, we need a smaller pivot point, one that'll let us get a little lower than, say, our fingers. So I'm going to use the broken off bit of the number 2 pencil, and this should allow me to press it here and still get that button, presumably. Okay, so I think we got good position there. So we're going to go ahead and ring in, and let's give this a try. So I'm going to hold down with this hand and then press with this one in order to make sure we're getting the buttons. Okay, so 10:37, so 10 seconds, 37 seconds. That's because the pencil moved a bit while we were doing it. Again, smaller comb would have helped tremendously because then we could have used our finger, had more control over where it was moving. And that was the comb technique. And I've seen a lot of people talk about different combs you can use. You have your traditional, I don't know, thin black comb. That's going to be about the right size. That's going to do good for you. But it's the curved handle comb that if you research more, you'll find people had the most, I don't know, the most success with. It worked pretty well. It's a little big. Again, it's more of a, I don't know, a brush comb. I don't know what you would call it. But that curved handle is what we were looking for to simulate those special combs of the 80s that people were using to play this in arcades. And if you use the right technique, put the right pressure on, and we really could have used a little smaller of a comb, this, I think, is clearly going to outperform the pencil technique. It's easy to do. Again, using that leverage point, you have a higher surface area, so you can let your other fingers on your hand that rest to put heavy pressure down on the left side of the comb. And then you can just slap that right side. You got a big surface area. It's a thicker comb, so it's not going to bend on you like maybe a smaller black comb would. And so the potential there is to even outpace the pencil technique. And so right now, it seems like these are ranking in order of how good they can be. So again, I think this comb technique just barely edges out the pencil technique. But let's take a look at something kind of in between. What might we get if we find something that just takes the pencil technique up a notch? Okay, for the next technique, we're going to try to take a combination of the pencil and the comb, meaning what we're going to do is go for something that is pencil-like, but a little bit thicker. That gives us more room to press down, right? So it's got a wider reach than, say, a number 2 pencil, but it's going to be short. So we're just going to go with a Sharpie here. And again, we're going to use the same pencil technique. So we're going to put either our fingers like this or like this. If you do it like this, you want to keep them separated. But you see now with the much shorter throw, very easy to put leverage on and hit both buttons. And since we have our fingers on here, we have total control over how we press those buttons. So let's go ahead and ring in. And we're in here, and let's get ready. And so you can see significantly faster, 9 seconds and 57 tenths of a second, or whatever it is. So quite a bit faster than our other techniques by just getting something that's a little thicker, still short. Gives us all that extra speed we need. Okay, for lack of a better word, we'll call this one the Sharpie technique. But really what we're talking about is the pencil technique, but going up from that number 2 to a thicker object. Something that gives us a little more leverage to work with. It gives us more space so that throw between buttons is lowered. And a Sharpie is just about the right size. You're going to get the right length between buttons, so it's perfectly spaced out. It allows for less pressure on your fingers than, say, a number 2 pencil, because that wider width spreads out the surface area. And so when you're putting pressure on that, on the left side with your fingers, you can really get some downward pressure. And again, smaller throw lets you hit the button on the right even faster than the comb. And I've already set a few world records in playing with these techniques, this technique in particular. So for me, the Sharpie edges out the comb as well pretty well. So for me, the Sharpie, if you're going to use a third-party object, it's that Sharpie or marker size that you want to go with. It's going to give you much better performance over, say, the comb or the pencil. But the reality is there's one technique out there, one that is so good and is within the rules. So you don't need to have a third-party object, only your fingers, but you're going to need to be an expert to pull it off. And that is the technique that is guaranteed to give you the best possible score if you can master it. The lowest you can possibly get, the perfect score.
What you want? Get set.
Okay, so you've seen the world record holder's technique, a two-handed, one-button technique. And you can see basically he gets the best time, the lowest you can possibly get in that 7-second range. And so let's go through that technique real quickly so you can see it. And what it involves is your two hands, and what you need to do, and this is going to take a lot of practice, but the way he does it, he's alternating fingers. So as you see here, you're going back and then alternating each finger. And of course, you know, he's doing it at a very high rate of speed. So it's similar to the cat scratch technique that we showed earlier with two hands and two fingers, only now he's using both hands, the three fingers. Start with three, maybe you can get the fourth in there on each hand, but the three fingers on each hand, and he's doing this, you know, kind of technique, but really close together, so you're getting right in there and at a high rate of speed. So a lot of practice. Let's see how we do. This is not going to be pretty, I can tell you that right now, because it is not an easy technique to master. So you can already see, you know, my technique pretty much sucks. Not even getting, let's try this button. You know, not even getting up into the 800 range. So still qualified, which I don't know, I guess that tells you something. But you can see you really got to put a lot of practice in here to getting that technique down. And, you know, it's just one that you're really going to have to go and try and over and over and over until you get it right. But it is damn impressive when you see it. And it's how you are going to get the best times on that 100-meter dash. So as you can see, that technique is difficult. It's going to take a lot of practice. You are going to twist a lot of fingers, and it probably took a great deal of time and effort for this technique to achieve the perfect score. But it is the one that we found that can actually do it. So if you want that perfect score, are you going to spend time mastering this technique? Depends on how addicted you are to track and field, I guess. So that was all the techniques that can help you get a world record in the 100-meter dash on track and field. And of course, today we are using the Arcade 1-Up track and field prototype. And if you want to learn more about that prototype, check out this video. And thanks for making it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell for notification, and till next time, have fun.